Good morning, everybody. It's John for Father's Rights, my anti-human trafficking, and my anti-child abuse YouTube channel. Today, I was talking to some friends about something that happened in their childhood, which involves child molesting enablers. It was a group of three boys, and you know who you are. Um, Back in the day when we were kids, there wasn't like a train station per se where we lived, unless you wanted to walk all the way down to Bay Street. So it was common for us as a group of kids uh, to walk the train tracks. Say, let's go up to Steve DeSawyer's house or Michael Fury's house, Joey Fumy's house. If you'd walk the train tracks and go just past the Con Ed and hang a left, you would be standing right in front of Jane Satale's house. Uh, Joey Fumy was a block away. Michael Fury was the other way. Steve DeSawyer, we'd go up there and hang out with them sometimes. We'd walk up there and just say hello to everybody. Or we would we wanted to go down to like someplace on Bay Street. We'd follow the tracks down and go to the Paramount Theater. There was a place there, an Army Navy shop. There would sell Pumas. We would take the walk down there because sometimes we didn't feel like taking the bus. Just knock out that young energy we had. Well, one time, three people that I knew, three boys, and even some of the girls used to come take the walk with us sometimes. Thank God they weren't there that day. I did not know this happened, but since I've been talking about child molesters and their enablers, they started talking about this little incident they had. I think it was like the late 70s, early 80s. They were walking on the tracks and two construction workers came up to them and go, "Hey, what are you doing on the train tracks? You're not supposed to be here. We're going to have to call the cops, and they're going to have to take you home. We're going to have to talk to your parents about you guys being on the train tracks." So they looked like legit, you know, construction workers, right? So back then we were told, hey, if any adult admonishes you in the neighborhood and tells you something to do, more than likely they knew who you are and they knew who your father was. So not to give them any smart mouth and just do what they say. That was back in the day how we grew up. Don't back talk to other parents or elders, your elders. This guy had gray hair, gray mustache, and his apartment. A partner that was with him who didn't talk at all had also like salt and pepper hair. They were all older gentlemen. So naturally you assumed, we're in trouble now. We're going to go home. They're going to bring us, to call the cops and bring us home, and we're going to be grounded and forbidden to walk on the train tracks forever. Well, that's not what happened. They took these kids to a construction site. It looked like a parking garage. They never been there before, and they said, okay, come down to the parking garage. And they were knocking out the bottom floor of the parking garage, like the wall, and they were building it more levels down. But they were bringing them down to the sub-basement. So they sit there and they're like looking around like, what are we doing here? And then one of the kids realized, goes to his two friends, he goes, why did they bring us down to the basement? There's no cops here. So lo and behold, they smarten up, and all three of them at the same time after they said that, when the guy walked out of that little concrete alcove he put him in, all kids, boom, took off running. Now they didn't know where they were because it was kind of mazy down there. And the kid, the smarter one who realized, hey, there's something funny going on here. The other two were following him. They were two younger kids. And he was 8 and they were maybe about 7, 6 years old. So as they're running out of the place, he sees the cars through the hole that they were brought in down through the basement. So he ran out of there. Then the next thing you know, they're out on the street. So the older kid starts yelling, why'd you bring us down to the basement? Why'd you bring us down to the basement? They had no idea where they were. And then a whole bunch of adults and some of the roughnecks on the corner over there heard it, and they surrounded these two guys, and they said, "Why'd you bring those kids down in the basement?" And these people were getting irritated. And there was both black and white people in this crowd that, started picking up sticks and going to these two guys. "Why'd you bring those kids down the basement?" And they were like so scared that they realized where they were, and they took off and went home. And the last thing one of the kids remembered was the guy goes, "No, we didn't mean anything by it," and stuff. "Well, we were just trying to scare them and stuff." I don't think those guys were trying to scare you guys, bringing you down to the basement. I think the best thing that you did that day was run from those two guys, or I'd be going around with the flashlight looking for you that night. I honestly think you would have been put in the cement of that sub-basement after something horrible happens to you. So this is how to show you how these pedophiles and their enablers are getting your children. They come off as an authority. And I noticed that in my wife's case, where one of the enablers is like, "Well, I'm a foster parent. I'm qualified. I know how to handle kids." You see how they come off as an authority, and you relax your grip on your kids and you give your children control to these authorities. And on that, I'm out of here.